So thanks for taking the time to speak to me today,
Thank
Niko.
you.
Great. So tell me a bit about QLayer, but more importantly, why it was created.
Right, I could say that the whole team really has a background in the hosting provider world. I'm one of the co-founders of HostBasket, a hosting provider in Belgium. I was technical director there. Our CEO is the founder of a managed hosting provider. So we've all been in and out of commercial data centers for a long time. And there are many problems, you know, the lack of flexibility in the data center. These are the kind of things that we really wanted to solve with the QLayer software that we built.
Perfect. Well, you offer a virtual private data center solution. So how exactly does QLayer work?
Okay, so we have a software solution specifically for hosting providers. And with the QLayer software, a hosting provider can offer their end users a virtual private data center, the VPDC. So that's really the new concept that a hosting provider can bring to market using our software.
Perfect. Tell me a bit about this data center abstraction layer that you were explaining earlier.
Right. So the VPDC is a virtual private data center. It's a place where an end user can build his own virtual data center. He typically uses drag and drop to add servers to his environment. He will interconnect them using a network. He will add storage. This is all done through a web browser remotely. So that's great. You're really building a virtual infrastructure as an end user remotely. But then you click the deploy button, right? And then that whole environment needs to be brought live in let's say 10 minutes of time.
Right.
And that's where the DAL comes in, the data center abstraction layer. That's the technology underneath that allows us to build a virtual environment in real time. So the DAL will use workflows to start creating virtual servers, network connections, it will assign storage, it will do all the things that need to be done to bring your end user's VPDC live.
The concept of a VPDC is something that we've been hearing quite a bit about in North America with Layer Technologies and 3Terra. How does what they do compare to what QLayer does?
I think we share the same vision on the fact that you need to bring, as a hosting provider, more flexibility to your end users, to your customers. You want them to offer them virtual capacity with instant availability. That's what VPDC is all about. I think there are also quite some differences. We, as QLayer, are really focusing on the infrastructure layer. So what you do with our software is the equivalent of what you would normally do with hardware. This is the alternative to racking servers, connecting them with physical wires, and doing all the stuff that really takes a long time. It's very labor intensive. That's really what we're focusing on with this VPDC concept.
So who would you say you're targeting with this offering, or who's best suited to implement something like this?
We're partnering with service providers all over Europe for the moment. Of course, we're also going to the States. We're opening an office there now. And there are two types of service providers that we work with. One, you could say, are the volume hosting providers, and they use the VPDC concept to provide a self-service environment for the end user. So there they sell virtual capacity and the user builds his own environment. And then on the other side, you have a managed hosting provider or a complex hosting provider, and they use the QLayer technology to build a virtual environment for the end user, but the end user will just get a read-only view.
Right.
So he will just see the environment, but he will not be able to change it himself, because that's something that the hosting provider will typically do for the end user.
Considering how unique this offering really is, what kind of feedback have you been getting? I mean, do a lot of the hosts that you speak to, are they convinced with this model and are they ready to implement this?
Absolutely, the traction has been great. Hosting providers are really looking for new ways to generate revenue, to bring something new to market. And I think that's exactly what the VPDC offering is. It's about no longer selling individual servers or dedicated servers, but it's about selling an environment and giving more flexibility to your users. So yeah, absolutely, hosting providers are really willing and they're ready to bring this to market.
Considering this was born out of your own pain as a hosting provider, can you give me an example of how QLayer would have made your life easier had it existed back then?
Yeah, well, without QLayer and without virtualization in general, you would typically buy new dedicated servers when you get an incoming order of a customer. Then you have to put them in a rack. You have to assign IP addresses to them. So it's a whole manual process, and it can easily take 1 or 2 weeks before the whole environment for your customer is ready. So that's a long time. And then the customer comes back and he says, oh my God, I made a mistake. I need more capacity. I need bigger servers. My business is booming. And then you have to start all over. So that's really the pain that most of us are in today. And with a virtual environment, it's changed in under 5 minutes.
Is it expensive to implement something like this?
Our pricing model is a pay-as-you-grow model. So as a hosting provider, you can start pretty small and you can grow as the business is growing. So that's really what it's all about. For us, it's more like a partnership. The hosting provider is bringing it to market, and we are delivering the technology to enable them to build this new business model.
Well, all the best to you, and thanks so much for taking the time to speak to us today.
Thank you. Hope to see you soon.
Yeah.
Bye.